Alright, in this video we're gonna add Angular support to parallelstories.web. That's the task we're doing. So I'm gonna jump right in to where we left off last time with parallelstories.web. Now the first thing we need to do is we need to go to references and we need to do manage NuGet packages. And in here we need to search for Angular. And we need Angular core. That's all we need for now. I'm not going to bring in anything else just yet. We might want to look at some of this stuff later, but not that one. That one's actually, I don't know what that one is, but I don't trust it. Let's stick with just this one. So that's added them here. We need to move them into here. Right. So that puts them all in there. And that gives us Angular. And what it also does is I can, if I open folder in File Explorer and I go up one, see this packages directory. Now that we've added angular.js as a NuGet package, we get it in here. So NuGet packages are really useful. You can basically download a whole bunch of stuff that people have already written for you, and it downloads it here and then it copies it into your project for you. Really, I think the references should be literal references to these, but I'm not gonna sweat over that just yet. We're just gonna leave it and let it do its thing. So now we've got these, we need to, what's it done in references? See, it adds these to references and it's weird that they're commented out, but it's still adding them. I think that's strange. But I'm not going to worry about it, I'm going to let it do its thing. Because I don't know what it should be doing. So now we've got these, we need to actually load them into the web page. So that's what this bundle config is kind of for. It's one half of the puzzle. So in here you can create what are called bundles. So you can do like bundles.add new style bundle, and then we want, oh come on, where am I going to find a tilde? You know what, we're going to take the easy route out. I'm just going to copy a tilde. That is pathetic. Tilde bundles, and we'll call this Angular. Why not? And this will include I really need to fix this keyboard issue. Tilde scripts plugins Angular mocks.js and tilde scripts plugins Angular.js. Keyboard, it's not healthy for me. Scripts, plugins, Angular, min.js. I almost want to go, I want to test this Angular. with Angular and it will add to Angular. That might work. Never tried that, but it worked for this one. So why wouldn't it work for us, right? That's the theory. So that's going to pull in all these Angular files to a bundle called bundles Angular. And we will use that to our advantage. So now we need to actually load that in. So we're going to load it into layout, just because layout has a whole bunch of stuff already being loaded into it. So we can go like, normally you want to do it at the bottom, don't you? So that the rest of it can load first. Scripts, render, bundles Angular. So now that's going to load our Angular bundle every time layout is used. So it'll replace this with includes for all those Angular files, the ones in here. So references to those will be added along with the references to Bootstrap and jQuery and everything else like that. Pretty standard stuff. But not many people have to deal with this, you know. It's not often people are putting websites together from scratch. So if that's what you want to do, this is what you need to know. So now we have Angular being loaded into every page. That's pretty awesome. But it's not doing anything for us yet. Not really, because we're not using it. So what comes next? Simple. We need to create shit. So we're going to add a new JavaScript file called main app. And in here, I'm going to do var app equals, I can't remember how you do this. It's like Angular module, and then what you want to call it, we're going to call it main app. Doesn't require anything, and the function is, I don't think the function needs to take anything either. In fact, I don't think it needs to do anything. I believe we can just do that. Maybe? That'll create the module for us. We'll give it a try anyway. So that's mainapp.js. First thing we want to do is create another bundle for that to go in. Bundles, add new star bundle. Call this one bundles. App. And we will include scripts mainapp.js. And that will now create that every time we visit a page. So every time we visit a page, we'll be getting an Angular module. That's what they're called. The module is like, how to explain this? I use them like IOC containers in a way. So it's like MVC but for the front end, like the client side. Normally you have MVC for the back end, which is like controllers, models, views, right? MVC. But your front end, normally you would just freestyle it and just go, whatever, because it's just HTML and JavaScript. But by doing this, and actually using Angular, we can do a lot more cool stuff. I don't actually even know everything that Angular can do. I just know I can use it for this, so this is what I use it for, because this is what I need it for. I should look through it and see what else it can do, but I'll do that when I need something and I don't know what I need. Anyway, so that's loading in Angular. And we're loading in our main app. We also want to create a folder called controllers, and in here we're going to add another JavaScript file called home controller. And what home controller is going to do is it's going to go app.controller, and we're going to call it home controller. Why not, right? And the home controller is going to take a scope. So what that means is this scope is going to get passed in from the web page, right? Scope is like it's kind of like a global, I guess. You can think of it as like a global variable that you can use in your HTML via Angular. So you'll see what I mean by that. So in here we can now do even just something simple like scope dot. Let's just do like scope dot name equals Craig David. Right, and that's all we're going to do in our controller. We're just going to have scope name is Craig David. What this means is if we go back to our bundle, I should probably come up with a cleaner way of doing this, honestly, but I'll do that at some point. We can do like scripts, controllers, home controller.js. Right. And now we'll load main app and then we'll load home controller. So main app will create the Angular module called main app. Home controller will use that app and build a controller on it called home controller, which will add Craig David to the scope of the home controller, right? That might not make a lot of sense. If it does, well done, because it's took me quite a while to figure this out. Now we can actually use that to our advantage. First thing we need to do though is in our layout we need to scripts render bundles, what did I call it? What did I call it? I called it app. Okay. Bundles app. Right. Now, if I run this just as a test, right? This isn't going to be functionally any different to anything we've done before. It's going to be basically the same. Hopefully, if it works, load a page. That's all you need to do. Any page. As long as it's not an error page. You can do it. I have faith. Show me the page. No? Now that's interesting. Indexes outside the bounds of the array, so bundles angular doesn't exist. That's what I'm taking from that. Why wouldn't bundles angular exist? Is it because I tried to be cool with this? I think it's because I tried to be cool with this. Let's tone down the coolness a bit. Let's just regular it up for a bit. Angular mux, angular min, and angular min.js. I've got no idea what these files are, but I do know that I'm adding them. Let's give that another shot. Survey says don't think it's worked. Just based on the time it's taking. Yeah. Why can't it find bundles angular? What am I missing? What am I missing? What have I done wrong? You know what? I don't trust these being at the bottom. I know that's a weird thing to say. I don't think that would make a difference though. We are adding bundles angular. I'm just going to make sure that I'm getting this literally word for word. I know I am, but you can never be too safe, right? Now if this doesn't work, we're going to have to debug a little harder. It's running our server. It's just not liking Angular. I wonder if I'm not meant to include the mapped file. That might be it. May very well be not meant to include the app file. Let's give it a try without the old macaroony. Be weird if it makes a difference, but you never can tell in this day and age. 'Cause here's the thing, nah, it's not made a difference. Index was outside the bounds of the array. Which index was outside the bounds of which array? This is the question. So that wasn't the issue. I'm actually quite glad about that. It doesn't change the fact that something is the issue. Scripts, plugins. Yeah, go away. I don't like how Visual Studio does that. Angular.js exists. AngularMox.js exists. AngularMin.js exists and AngularMin.js.map exists. So they all exist. They're just not playing ball for some reason. What could that reason be? What could that reason be? Main app should be fine. What would it be finding out of range? What would it be claiming as out of range? Does it complain about the app one? That's a good question. Or does it load and just fail to do stuff? Let's find out. It loads. But fails to do stuff. Awesome. Okay. That's good to know. So something is going wrong with this one. With the Angular one. Tilde bundles Angular. What is the difference? What am I missing? It's going to be something really obvious as well. It always is. It's always something goddamn obvious. I just don't know what the obvious thing is. This all seems correct. This is the problem with programming. Sometimes it really screws you over. For no apparent reason. Unless I'm only meant to include one of these. I think it's because I've included AngularJS and AngularMin. I think. Based on little to no reasoning. Come on, little to no reasoning. You can do it. Survey says no. That's the problem with little to no reasoning. That being said, there's still something to it. I think mocks shouldn't be being used either. I think it has to be just one of them. I assumed erroneously that you needed to include every file. It looks like you may actually just include the one. If I'm right here, then I'm well happy. Don't know if I am right. I can't think of anything else. Everything else I've done by the book that I can think of. So tense. Bugger. Interesting. What have I done wrong? Like, what's it talking about? It's trying to optimize CSS. the difference between them? What is the difference? Let's try with just min. Stop. Let's try with just min. This is my last ditch resort that I may have to Google, which I'm not looking forward to. Not looking forward to having to Google this one. Ah! Okay, cool. So I have to use min. Obviously I don't know what I'm doing with the rest of it, but that's fine. We have an answer. Use min. So, didn't have to Google it. That was clutch though. Wait. Angular is not defined. Cannot read. Control F5. Angular is not defined. Why is Angular not defined? Why is Angular not defined? Why? Is it included? It should be included up here, right? It's not included the Angular one for some reason. Great. At least that points us in potentially a correct direction. There we go. So maybe I haven't actually fixed this. Maybe let's not use min at all. That would be a shame. That would be a real shame. Just getting used to the idea of it working. No. Okay. Looks like maybe I do have to resort to Google foo, because I do not see why this is failing. I just don't see it. I'm blind to the error. Render tilde bundles Angular tilde bundles Angular is Angular min.js. Which does exist. Which means I'm missing something. Let's see. What do I want? Angular style bundle. ASP. Let's see what this guy says. So he's just including AngularJS and Angular resource, but I don't think I need Angular resource. But I'm doing basically the same thing he's doing, right? Let's try something completely stupid that should never work. JS. Now there's no reason why that should work whatsoever, so I don't hold out much hope. But you never can tell with this stuff. You never can tell. Sometimes you gotta clutch that straw. Because clutching that straw is sometimes the correct thing to do. Brilliant. Looks like it worked. Don't know why. Just goes to show, persistence pays, and Googling to get nothing of use also pays, apparently. Great, so it's failing because main app is not available. I either misspelled the module name or forgot to load it. For registering a module, ensure that you specify the dependencies as the second argument. Yes, so I kind of rushed through this, which is why this will have happened. If I go to main app, I need to do like main app, like that, I think. Say it has no dependencies and is actually a new thing. I'm not sure if I need to do a config function. I don't believe I do. Find out soon enough. Survey says no errors. Main app is not available. Cannot read controller of undefined. So that's fine. That's because this one failed. This one is failing. If registering a module. Maybe I do need to provide a function. I keep making a whole load of base assumptions here that don't really add up. Function. Let's try that. I don't know why it would be that, but you never know. You do never know. See, if I wasn't shutting this down every time, it would load significantly faster. And awesome. Okay. So now we have Angular in here, right? It's not doing anything impressive, but we can prove it works at least. So we have a controller, and the controller has a name, which is Craig David, right? So if we go to our layout and we find the body, here we need to do like, is it ng app equals main app? Did we call it main app? Yeah. And then class equals container. So what that's saying is main app is our module that we want to use for this body, and it is a container. So it contains other things that we can use, which is true because we know it contains at least one controller, which is our home controller with Craig David in it. So what can we add? We've pulled that in, so let's go to our page, our only page that we have, which is index. Welcome to Parallel Stories, the best site ever made. Right, well let's change Parallel Stories and let's do ng shit, which one is it? ng controller equals home controller, right? Class equals controller? No, I don't think I need to do that. I think I just made that bit up. And then here we do welcome to name. Because name is in the scope. Now we'll see if this worked. I don't hold out high hopes. I really don't. Just because I feel like I've missed something. We'll see though. We'll see if it says welcome to Craig David. Survey says... Welcome to Craig David, the best site ever made. So what that's doing is, when it loads the page, it's coming into layout and it's saying, oh, this is an app, an Angular app, and it's a container called main app. So it goes off and it finds our main app module and feeds that in, right? It would also run this function if we had that function doing anything. But main app isn't doing anything, but it does have a controller called home controller with a name called Craig David. When we go into index, we are setting the controller of this to be home controller. So when it creates this, it will go and get that controller from the container of the body, and it will use that controller for the scope of the element within it. So then we can just do name, and that will pull it from the scope and say, welcome to Craig David, the best site ever made. Boom. That's how we do that. So that's a very, very, very basic kind of run through of Angular. I could complicate it a bit more, but we'll save that. For now, we've done the task, right? We've done our task. Brilliant. Chicka chicka boom. Happy days. So we need to submit all this shit. All this shit. Except the packages. I don't know why the packages are even in there. I thought I fixed that so that it wasn't gonna include them anymore. I guess it includes them until you undo it, but then it doesn't add them in here anymore. It's all very weird. Anyway, that should be everything. So we can create a comment. Adding Angular support and a basic implementation of name. That's what that does. Let's chickadee check that in. And there we go. So now, one last thing I'll show you, just to show how useful change sets can be. So if I pull up the source code explorer, right? If I F5, this will show us our new version, right? The version that I've just submitted. Welcome to Craig David, the best site ever made. Brilliant. Now, what I could do instead, if I ever was like, what did it used to look like? I wonder what the code looked like back in the day. I can't remember. What you can do is you can do advanced, get specific version, right? And you can say change set, and you can go, I want to see what the code looked like just after I added the web project, right? And that will go through and it'll sync up to the old version. This is now what the version of the code used to look like. You can See, it doesn't have Angular in there. If I F5 this, we should see, hopefully, it should have switched from Craig David back to Parallel Stories, because that's what it used to be called. So it's really good for being able to see the history of your changes as well, which means that if you introduce a bug, you can go back to an older version and figure out what's changed between the versions, which is really nice. But for now, I'm going to get the latest version again. I'm going to... Let's have a look at our work items. What's next? Next is add username and password input fields using Bootstrap and Angular. Well, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? Bootstrap will be interesting. But anyway, for now, this video has gone on longer than I hoped, but it's also got a lot of good content in it about Angular, so hopefully someone finds it useful. Peace out.